Eh, the moving brain. As with all of our different centers or different brains, when we first learn something, we are up in the intellectual part of that particular center. And for example, in the moving brain, when we learn something related to movement, such as riding a bike, we have to have constant attention on the efforts we're making, coordinating them together, because they're unfamiliar. As soon as that becomes familiar, it's passed down to the what could be considered the long-term storage area, which is down in the moving instinctive part of that center, the cellar or basement, in our backbone, one could say. When we're emotional about movement, we are in the emotional part of the moving part of the brain. And this can be seen in the enjoyment we take in moving. A good example again is on a bike. If you're cycling along and suddenly you swerve from one side to the other just for the fun of it, this would be the emotional part manifesting. But all of our habitual movements, including postures, physical postures, gestures, are all down in the moving instinctive part of the brain. People who are centered mainly in the moving part of the brain are generally quite regularly formed and have a sinewy aspect sometimes. The ones up in the intellectual part can be slightly slimmer, as in most centers, and the down in the moving instinctive part, they can also be quite slim. And as with all people who are centered in the emotional part of a center, they can be slightly chunkier. When we start to look at the moving brain, we generally consider it as being related to movement in the external world. But movement also comes down to the movement of our thoughts and ideas. One of the reasons we're unable to meditate successfully sometimes is because of movement. The thoughts keep moving, keep presenting themselves. And every time we're having a thought or visualizing something, our eyes and our vocal apparatus make millions of micro movements to construct these images and thoughts. This has all become so habitual, we don't really notice it. But when we sit and try to watch thoughts and to allow them to come to stillness, it becomes apparent how big a part movement plays in preventing us from reaching stillness. I think that's enough about the moving part of the brain for now. And next, I'll present some information about the emotional part of the brain. Goodbye and good luck.